Council meeting of July 11, 2022. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Sensi.
Here.
Mr. Council Magno.
Here.
Mr. Espinar.
Here.
Ms. Flynn.
Here.
Mr. Janisic.
Here.
Mr. Mowry.
Here.
Mr. Oakes.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
All members present. At this time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, at this time, I would like to turn to the reports. We have no chair announcements this evening. Reports to the officials and the library director's report.
Good evening. My name is Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide opportunities to explore, learn, create, and connect. You may or may not have heard that the state budget for 2022-2023 has been passed by the legislature, and the governor has indicated that he plans to sign it, and it includes an $11 million increase in the public library subsidy. This is huge news for us. That's about 18% increase, or for Bethel Park Library, a little over $21,000, which might not sound like a lot, but that could fund a part-time position that would offer more classes for adults and kids, or over 1,000 books and ebooks for you to enjoy. This is a major success of the advocacy efforts of the library community. It comes from years of having conversations and building relationships with our legislators. We had major cuts in 2008. They cut 50% of the subsidy for the public libraries. And this success is key from Chairman Stan Saylor, who really worked hard and has been a library champion. He is the House Appropriations Chair, and he is from York County. He's worked in 4 budget cycles to help restore a loss of nearly $20 million that we incurred in 2008 and 2009. I'd also like to thank Senator Devlin Robinson, Representative Natalie Mihalik, and Representative Mike Puskaric for their approving the budget as well. I'm so excited about this. I just got this news today. So the only other thing, 2 other things. One, it's not too late to join summer reading for birth through adults. Summer reading will end at the end of July. And our next fundraiser is our Fantastic Four golf outing, which will be on Monday, September 19th at Nemacolin Country Club. So if you want more information, you can see me or Andy Amrine at EV Hardware. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Any discussion from council? Hearing none, thank you very much. Can we turn to the police chief's report? Chief O'Connor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Hi, everybody. Chief here. We have had recently, along with other South Hills communities, an abundance of thieves coming out here overnight, going through unlocked cars, stealing various items. This past week, we had a car stolen because somebody left their keys in their car and left the car unlocked. Recently got that car back. It was found in Overbrook. Okay, no harm, no foul on that, but we also last week learned that a gun that was stolen in a similar escapade last year was recovered in the Mon Valley by the police on a traffic stop. So again, I'm going to ask you, lock your vehicles up, take your valuables out, including guns, because you don't want to be that guy whose car is stolen and winds up in an accident, or your gun's taken and used in a crime of violence. So please be responsible citizens. Don't let a tragedy happen. Take your stuff out, lock your cars up. If you see anybody at night, call us and we'll come deal with them. Thank you. So on a more positive note, on Tuesday, August the 2nd at 6 p.m. in Miners Park, we're going to have National Night Out. So you come join us, and we're going to stand up to these criminals out there. We're going to have a good show of strength from our citizens. We're going to have pizza, kids' activities, and did I mention pizza? I did. Well, let me tell you something. Mr. O'Brien wanted me to have avocado toast. I said, what? I says, man, I'm from Carrick. We don't eat that stuff. So Come and have pizza, and we may even have a cake. 6 to 8 Miners Park. Questions?
Any questions? Tough to follow that report, but let's go to the fire chief. This time we'll turn to the fire chief's report.
Council, thank you. Deputy Chief Russ Beeson here to give you the fire chief's report for the month of June. Total 46 calls, 3 structure fires, 5 brush fires, 1 oven fire, 3 electrical conditions, 1 power line down, 2 elevator rescues, 3 gas leaks, 1 smoke investigation, 7 good intent, 19 fire alarms, and 1 CO alarm. So, as we know, July and August, we get a lot of heat and humidity, which brings a lot of the storms. We're asking everybody to make sure you have your storm preparedness kits ready. 2 days of water supplies, food, non-perishables, that kind of stuff. Batteries, extra chargers for your cell phones, all that kind of stuff. Stay alert to changing conditions with the weather, as always. Also, we would like to encourage everybody to go over to BethelParkVFC.com, our website. There's a great video that was produced about why donations are so important to your local fire company. We encourage everybody to go take a look. The video is about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long, but it's worth it. And just a reminder that we are always accepting new applicants and always in a recruitment phase. If you ever had the desire to serve your community, it's at no cost to you other than your time. We take care of all the training, take care of all the uniform and equipment. It's a nice family environment, and you're there to help your community. Outside of that, that's all we have.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Can we turn to the mayor's municipal manager's report? Mr. Christian.
Members of council, Mayor Allen, thank you so much. I'd like to take opportunity to do 2 things. Give you a quick update and a couple of introductions. I'll start off with an update. Our Park and Play series events are having a huge success this past summer, which we began in May. We had a series of events hosted at our local parks. We started off with yoga and exercise in Park Avenue. We moved on to Touch a Truck at our Public Works Department. And then July 2nd, we hosted our Summer Spectacular. I thought those fireworks were fantastic. Due to the potential thunderstorms, on June 26th, we postponed our No Bad Juju concert. That's going to happen on August 14th from 5 to 7 p.m., still at Millennium Park. It's going to be a great show, really, really nice. Future ones, we still go out. As Chief mentioned, we have our National Night Out in Miners Park. We have our End of Summer Bash, which is going to be in Simmons Park, and a Star Party to look forward to in those coming months. Farmers Market, still going super strong. We love it. It's going great. Held each Tuesday through summer at South Park Ice Skating Rink along Corrigan Drive. The market runs from 3 to 7, and we have about 30 vendors each week. It's fantastic. We love it. Starting a couple new things. One of the things that I've begun is a coffee and conversation. What that's going to be is I'm going to be doing a new program. Each quarter, residents will have a chance to come grab some coffee, meet some of myself and some municipal staff, talk various topics about what's going on across the municipality. The first one is going to be August 3rd at the Community Center at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Come on out, we can have some conversation and good coffee. As most of you might have noticed, if you've been on our website recently, it is going through a significant change, and we're really proud of it. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, really pulled the community and understood what you're looking for, and we're trying to make those changes. This effort has given the website a total facelift, cleaning it up, adding new payment options, making it easier to navigate, and also find what you're looking for. Municipal staff and hard at work, and then we will continue making those changes. So look forward to more changes of those. Now for the best part, I'd like to introduce new staff members. So if I could have Emily and James come on up, please. This is the best part of my job right here. Absolutely. Come on up. Wherever. All right, so I get to introduce, I'll start off with Emily real quick. Emily, she preferred name goes by Emily. She comes from us with an undergraduate degree from Slippery Rock University in Professional Studies and a graduate degree from California University of Pennsylvania in Sports Management. Emily worked at the Department of Recreation Physical Education at Duke University for about a decade. So she has a wealth of experience. She recently moved back here, and we were lucky enough to recruit her for our recreation department. She is the new community center director. She has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and it is just really coming in, hitting the ground running, so we look for great things. One interesting fact, you learn to play percussion and the trap set in grade school, and you enjoy writing poetry. That's really, really neat. Would like to say a few words, anybody?
I just want to say that I'm excited to make a positive change, an impact for the community, and work with lots of people for the community.
Good.
Awesome, thank you so much. Now we get to this, you notice this big guy on my left here. This is James Knight. He also has an education of Bachelor of Science in Sports Management from California University and a Master of Science in Exercise Science from California University. James comes with us from 5-year experience in communication as sports coordinator at the Pittsburgh Sports League and 1.5 years as the operations retention manager at Atlas Gym. So physical fitness and fitness are 2 of your passions, and we really appreciate that one. James is going to be our full-time program administrator for all of the programming in Bethel Park Recreation and Community Center. So he's coming in and really diving into those programmings, you know, really taking that fine tooth and taking it to the next level. So this dynamic duo right here are going to be working hand in hand every single day, and our rec department is going to really take off and blossom. One interesting fact from James is a big interest in powerlifting and rehabilitation science. Even though he tore his ACL twice, one of the time not getting it fixed, he was still able to squat 500 pounds. So physical fitness is a big thing in your life. So we appreciate that one. He can take a lot, bring a lot to the team. Is there anything you want to say to our residents?
I'm extremely excited to come on board. I'm extremely excited to be able to work with everybody, do as much as I can. Like it's been said, I have a huge background in both sports and as well exercise and physical activities. So this is just something that I'm extremely passionate about, something that I want to be able to bring to everybody, help you out as much as possible, whether it be in just having activities to do or even whether it be in health overall. This is just something that just brings me great joy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that concludes my reports. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Hearing none, can we turn to the mayor's report? And Mayor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few items this evening. The first one, I wanted to recognize Beth Scarlett. She's with Girl Scout Troop 60802, and Beth is responsible for identifying all the military banners in Bethel Park. So that way, if someone's looking for a particular person, they can go on a website and find out where it is, rather than going all over the park. And we do have about 500 banners up, so it will take for a while for you to find exactly what you were looking for. Secondly, Matthew Mingrone, when you come up, please. Okay, Matthew's dad, which a lot of people, at least here know, is Frank Mingrone. And he just, let me read the certificate of recognition for Frank. This is for his dedication to the Bethel Park community and his service on the Planning and Zoning Commission from 1987 to 2022, with many of those years as chairman, awarded this day, July 2022. So, delivering
we had dinner with my father. He's been going through some health issues, but he was very humbled and very appreciative. He loves Bethel Park, and he said, God bless all of you, and thank you very much for this honor. But he also said to remind you, don't let contractors come in and piecemeal every little project. Bring it all in at one time. But he did love all of you, and he really appreciates the support, and we'll take this to him tomorrow for breakfast. Thank you very much.
No, that's,
Just have one little thing left. Tim, you can come up here.
it all
What?
depends. Okay.
What? Tim knows everything, so he probably knows this already. So Tim has presented the Carol Samble Award, presented to Tim Myrie for 25 or more years of dedicated service. So congratulations and keep it going. And not to be outdone, Mr. O'Brien. This is the award that Tim will strive for.
I can never catch O'Brien. I will never.
Okay, Mark, this is the Board of Directors Award presented to you by the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs for 30 or more years of dedicated service. That's my report, Mr. President.
I would also like to pass on my regards to Frank. Anybody that's come through Frank Mangrone, the Planning Commission, he was always very spirited in his opinion. He always had a great history, and he would not shy away from a good argument. For those of you who knew Frank, that he did what he thought was the right thing. But we do appreciate, pass along our best wishes and our appreciation, not just from council and staff, but from community for his dedicated service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we would like to turn to the approval of the minutes. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Myrie. Approval of minutes, June 13th, 2022, regular council meeting minutes. I move that we approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2022, regular council meeting.
Second?
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Dr. Campbell that we approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2022 regular council meeting. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. O'Brien.
May 23rd, 2022, public hearing minutes. I move that we approve the minutes from the May 23rd, 2022 public hearing.
Second?
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Dr. Campbell that we approve the minutes from the May 23rd, 2022 public hearing. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls, and Mr. O'Brien.
Bills and payrolls, bill list 071122. I move that we approve bill list 071122 in the amount of $2,587,663.55.
Second?
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Dr. Campbell that we approve bill list number 071122 in the amount of $2,587,663.55. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comment section. We have, I believe, 6 people signed up to speak, so I'll start. These are on non-agenda items. Owen Chafin, if you can come up to the microphone, state your name and address. We do have a 3-minute limit. We'll ask you to conclude your comments at 2 minutes, and then, so you're on.
Hello, my name is Owen Chapman. I live at 5662 King School Road, and I'm a Boy Scout in South Park Troop 510. I'm in the process of earning the rank of Eagle Scout, and I'm in the final stage of my community service project. I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about it. While I did receive a lot of support from our local businesses and organizations, I want to let you know more about the support that I received from the municipality of Bethel Park itself, and to express my gratitude. I held a very successful new and used book drive benefiting an organization called the Pittsburgh Prison Book Project. This great group sends books and reading material to incarcerated people all across Pennsylvania. They rely on donations, and I focus my efforts on collecting the much-needed nonfiction books like do-it-yourself books, trade topics such as plumbing and wiring, crossword and puzzle books, and history subjects. I also collected cash donations to help cover the postage fees to send these books to their new readers. My goal is to match each book with $1 to account for the average postage cost that it takes to send into the prison system. During the month of May, the Bethel Park Parks and Recreation Department welcomed me and my Boy Scout volunteers at the Bethel Park Farmers Market. For each of the 5 Tuesdays in May, I ran my own booth, collecting books and monetary donations from members of our community. The Bethel Park Library also helped me collect books by setting up a donation box that people could drop off at during the regular business hours throughout May. My project wasn't a typical Eagle project, and it relied heavily on community involvement. I needed a convenient and consistent place for the public to be able to bring books to me. Our popular farmers market and library were perfect for this. I was able to have a clear message on where and when to bring the donations, and our neighbors sure did deliver. Before I began, my original goal was 500 books. In total, and from my various efforts, I collected over 3,100 books. I collected 1,605 books from the farmers market booth alone. I was also able to raise $710.94 from my trusty penny jar over those 5 weeks. I also received 341 books from the donation box at our library. I absolutely could not have had such a successful outcome without the support from the municipality of Bethel Park. I wanted to thank Mr. Lawrence Christian for his generous permission for my farmers market booth, and also to thank my councilman in Ward 6, Mark O'Brien, and my friend, Councilwoman Lindsay Flynn, for their early support and encouragement. Also, the new farmers market coordinator, Lindsay Siebert, was really helpful and fun to work with. The Bethel Park Library Director, Ms. Christine McIntosh, was also very encouraging, understanding my project and goals from day one. While I'm still writing my final report, I did want to come here with you and express my gratitude and share some of these numbers with you. I have now begun volunteering outside of my service project with the Pittsburgh Prison Book Project team, and I can tell you that so many of our community books have already been sent to their new readers. I'm proud of what my team of volunteers have done and what I've accomplished, and I'm also proud to be a part of this Bethel Park community. I want to thank you for your commitment to scouting. I want to thank you for your commitment to scouting and to youth at Bethel Park. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Daryl Taggart. If you could come up and state your name and address for the record, please. And we have a 3-minute limit.
Yes, my name is Daryl Taggart. I live on 255 Lisa Drive. The issue I'd like to comment on this evening is the group home that Passivhaus Memorial Homes is wanting to place on Lisa Drive. What we learned in the recent zoning board meeting is that Passivhaus Memorial Homes is wanting Bethel Park to change their definitions and laws so they can operate their facility in an R2 residential zone. They purchased a $440,000 home knowing that they currently do not meet the R2 zoning criteria. Did Passivhaus Memorial Homes have some reassurance that Bethel Park was not going to block the facility when they paid the exorbitant amount for the home? If this variance gets approved, it will appear as though it was a done deal before the purchase. A zoning change such as this would be a prime example of spot zoning, the very antithesis of Bethel Park's planned zoning. I feel our council and local government are not enforcing the zoning laws the municipality has in place. Just because there are other group homes in Bethel Park does not make it right to permit this assisted living facility in this tightly populated community. This 24/7 staffed facility should be rightly placed in an R4 or R5 zone. Passivant's justification for this definition change is based on someone's opinion of what was written and how it is interpreted. Regardless of how many cases, these interpretations are not always correct. Each assessment should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. If the group home is allowed, any property owners in the neighborhood that would want to sell will see a significant loss in value. Is there a study of how this would affect surrounding property values, or does the council not care how it affects their constituents? There will be an increase in traffic on all the streets that lead to or intersects Lisa Drive. We've had an influx of young families moving into our neighborhood. People leisurely walk and jog on the streets day and night, and many walk their dogs. Was there a traffic study done to see how this group home and the services it requires will impact the neighborhood? Passivant Memorial Homes lists the individuals who live in their facilities as those with intellectual disabilities, autism, and behavioral health needs. We are now hearing they include those with drug and alcohol addiction issues. My concern is for the safety of my wife, daughter, and granddaughter, and I know our neighbors have the same concerns for their families as well. There are neighbors who now speak of installing security systems, while others talk of moving out of the community altogether. I've lived here since 1987. We have a great neighborhood. We have a safe neighborhood. Whether you think this facility would have an impact to our community or not, we know it certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Mary Taggart. Mary Taggart? Okay. Karen? If you could state your name and address when you get up for the record, please.
Karen Hatfield, 248 Lisa Drive, Bethel Park. I want to address the same issue, the group home at 242 Lisa Drive. We received a copy of the request from Passivant, and they are citing a case in Clairton as the reasons for redefining the definition of family and arguing the zoning issue. And the Clairton case was different because the Clairton zone had a nonprofit church in their community, and somebody wanted to buy it and convert it. And so they were deemed that it was discrimination based on the Fair Housing Act because they wanted to change the definition of their zoning to leave out a group home when it was already zoned for nonprofit. Now Passivant's coming in, and I reaffirm what Daryl said, they came in knowing that it was an R2 zone. They could have bought an R4, an R5, a C1, 2, or 3, and probably bought 2 houses for what they paid. They paid over at least $50,000 over asking price to get this. So the question is, when we went to the zoning board meeting, they said, we cannot rule on this. We cannot change the definition of family. It has to come before the Bethel Park board. You have to change the definition of family. Okay, the zoning board did not rule on it. We're still, waiting. The attorney did speak at the zoning board. He wasn't sworn in. That was a concern of ours because he said he was just speaking on behalf of his client, but he was advising his client, but he did speak, and he wasn't sworn in. And so my concern is, even though this is an R2 and it's one particular house, and I do struggle in my heart because these could be people with just Down syndrome that just want to have a good life. But if you change the zone definition of family to include people with disabilities, multiple people in a home, this would apply to all of Bethel Park, every R2 zone. Then it'll be R1 zones. And then there's no limit They could just buy up any, multiple houses. So we're saying we're not discriminating. There is zone 4, 5, C1, 2, and 3. And we're just asking you to consider when you're voting to vote against changing the definition of family. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Carper.
Lisa Carper, 3315 Appel Road. At last week's zoning board meeting, Mr. Reagan and the gentleman on behalf of Passavant, there was a discussion of whether or not someone will be staying at the home to provide care in addition to the 3 patients. Passavant's representative answered yes for 2.5 days. Then another person of care will come in for another 2.5 days. When Reagan asked where would they be staying, Passavant answered in the basement. I spoke with Allegheny County Health Department of Housing, Community Environment regarding 28 PA Code 51.5. This code is found at the bottom of Bethel's occupancy permit form. The inspector said one person staying there for 2 days counts as a 4th person. He said sleeping in the basement is not permitted since there are no egress windows, no exterior door, no bathroom in the basement. The variance application asks, if granted, will this alter the essential character of the neighborhood? Yes. This will alter the neighborhood in a negative way and in more ways than one. Our neighborhood is being spot zoned and the character will most certainly be changed. The Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania has even stated spot zoning is unconstitutional and that all zoning ordinances are presumed constitutional. From an excerpt of the FHA 42 USC 3601 updated May 31st, 2022, to refuse to make reasonable accommodations in land use and zoning policies and procedures where such accommodations may be necessary to afford persons or groups with disabilities an equal opportunity to use and enjoy housing. What constitutes a reasonable accommodation is a case-by-case determination. Not all requested modifications of rules or policies are reasonable. If a requested modification imposes an undue financial or administrative burden on the local government, or if modification creates a fundamental alteration in a local government's land use and zoning scheme, it is not a reasonable accommodation. It is very misleading to us as residents because only 3 people are permitted to move into the home, yet we have been told by numerous sources that 5 people or more will be living there, not 3. 7 years ago, we would not have had a case. The laws have changed. The excerpt FHA 42 USC 3601 update, spot zoning this property and preserving neighborhood choice rule all favors to the neighbors in the R2 zoning neighborhood. These are our fair housing rights. We are just looking for honest and support from our community and those who represent us. In conclusion, thank you for saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It honors the flag as well as the representative's role in serving the American people. All laws must comply with the Constitution or they are void. I do have a question for you because no one has ever answered this yet. Can Passavant move into the home before the zoning board has reached their final decision, knowing that Passavant will conduct their business with 3 patients plus the caregiver, direct care employee, and not having their proper permits? Please answer, how is this allowed? This is not a single family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Hopwood.
Jennifer Hopwood, 3350 Appel Road. I'm here again for the same reason, the 242 Lisa Drive. I'm a single mom of 2 young children. Their ages are 11 and 6. I have safety concerns as well as just basically the neighborhood concern as far as the value of our neighborhood. My oldest son currently goes to Neil Armstrong. His bus stop is not very close to our home. He has to walk down Appel, Ogden Voss to catch it at South Park Road. I'm concerned about the traffic that this home will also bring to the neighborhood. I'm asking that this is an R2 neighborhood, and we ask that you guys withhold that, keep our neighborhood as is, and vote to keep Passavant where they belong, which is still within Bethel Park, just within the correct zone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other residents that would like to speak? If you could come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
Sharon Janosik, Janosik, 4314 Anna Street, ANNA. I'm here to talk about the same thing, and I'd like to talk about what a community living home with 4 adults looks like and why they are a family. They've lived together for many, many years in another home. Just like your family, they are together the majority of the day. They actually are probably together more than you are with your families. They live together. They menu plan together. They cook together. They make sure each member has their favorite meals. They go grocery shopping together. They decide what activities they're going to do, and they do them together. They go to the zoo together. They celebrate holidays together. Just like all of our families, they celebrate one another's birthdays. They buy presents for one another. They console one another. They support one another. They encourage one another. They live together and function as a family unit. I'm sure a lot of them would prefer to be married, to live in a home with their own children and a spouse, just like you do. However, their disabilities are such that they require more support than that. And that, in my opinion, is the argument. They are a family unit, and the law says that wherever a single family is permitted to live, so are they, because they are a family. And that does not devalue your family at all. Lastly, my apologies. However, it seems to me that the municipality does not want to make the decision they know they need to make, because you don't want these people yelling at you, and this is going to move to the court making the decision. I hope everybody's already aware of what the decision is going to be, and then you can say it's not your fault. But you're making these people bear the brunt of this. We're fomenting hate, prejudice, bigotry, nonsense, and ignorance about people with disabilities. Don't make those people bear that when they move into this property and have to deal with this in their neighborhood. Stand up. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other residents that would like to speak? If you could come, state your name and address for the...
Tracy, Tracy, Kasevich, Kasie, V as in Victor, ICH.
Thank you.
I live at 3344 Appel Road, APPEL. And I'm also here to speak about 242 Lisa Drive. And just a few points that I'd like to make is, one, when we were here at the last meeting, it was brought to our attention that Passive and Home representative clearly indicated that there would be a caregiver living at that house for 2.5 days at a time. It was brought up by the other members who were here. Where would they be if there are only 4 bedrooms in the house, and if there are 4 patients in the house, where would the employees be sleeping? And it was completely answered by Passivant that they would make arrangements in the basement for the employees to stay. Now, I know if you do not have egress windows or a door, you cannot make a basement a living bedroom area. You also have fire concerns. You do that and there's a fire in that house, you will be held responsible for those people dying in that basement. We cannot, I live at 3344 Appel. I cannot have my children live in my basement. That would be against the law. So I wanted to make that point. I also wanted to make the point that we are clearly not discriminating. There are other places, other alternative places for these people to be in Bethel Park. Bethel Park in general is not discriminating. There are zones in Bethel Park for group homes, for personal care homes. Zone 2 is not one of those places. Unfortunately, Passavant made the mistake without checking into things and purchasing a home, thinking that they were just going to be cleared to allow these family, whoever, whatever, into that house. So I just want to make that very clear that there is no discrimination here. I'm a medical professional. I love people. I love disabled people. That is not what this is about. This is about the law, the zoning laws, and just making the right decision for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other residents that would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I guess I'll comment real quickly. Number one is we have no decision in front of us today. The municipalities made their decision. They opted to go to the zoning hearing board, which met last week. So the case, I believe, was continued till September. I did not attend the meeting, but it is now in front of the zoning hearing board. We're not voting on anything tonight. We have nothing on our agenda, nor do we have anything at this point in time until the zoning hearing board makes the final determination. At this time, I would like to talk to the solicitor, or ask the solicitor if he can maybe give a brief update, because we too learned some things at the zoning hearing board meeting that we weren't aware of. And if I can maybe ask the solicitor comment on what's going on.
Yeah, I would just repeat what I said at the last meeting to start with. Under the existing zoning ordinance, the definition of family includes 3 unrelated persons. There is no exclusion from that definition of family simply because people have intellectual disabilities. Under either the ordinance or federal law, the municipality cannot exclude someone as family or say they're a group home simply because those individuals have intellectual disabilities if they intend to make a permanent home. Now, what Passavant decided to do, despite that decision, is to go to the zoning hearing board and ask to place 3 unrelated individuals to place 4 instead of 3. No, I'm sorry if I misstated. No, they want to increase it to 4, and they went there claiming it should get a variance. The only issue in front of the zoning board is whether they should go from 3 to 4. They shouldn't be considering any other issue. That was the issue that was taken to them. And I have to say, I think we all learned some things from the testimony that was offered at that hearing that was not presented initially. And some more candor from Passavant, I think, would have certainly been helpful to the community, because as one of the speakers indicated, we always knew there were going to be staffers coming into the home to help those individuals who live there, and that is permitted in an R1 zone. If you have a live-in nanny, if you have a companion for an elderly relative, if you have a person who helps you with a disabled child, that's not necessarily the residents, but they could be there and they could be sleeping there. What we didn't know until the witness, who was under oath, not the lawyer, came forth with the fact that there might be an individual staff people who are forced to sleep in the basement when there's no appropriate egress. And we intend to engage Passavant about that issue and other code-related issues. Now, those aren't zoning issues, but those are important issues that came up at the hearing, and we intend to bring it up to them. And I must say, we've been through this issue many times in the past, and one of the things that always helps is if the provider provides more information to the community, more outreach, to explain, the individuals who are going to be living there, whether they have a condition that would be a threat to anyone, or they have, and I don't think that's happened with this provider. And that has created issues for the community, it's created issues for the public officials, and we don't want to be finding things out at public hearings any more than the public does. But that being said, we still must comply with the zoning ordinance, which does provide for 3 adults, or potentially the issue of the Fair Housing Act, and I beg to differ with individuals that you cannot exclude disabled individuals, mentally disabled individuals from residential zones, R1s, R2s, simply because they have a mental handicap. That is not permitted under federal law or under our zoning ordinance. But we don't take these issues lightly of where the staff people are going to be And I've been authorized by council to reach out to Passavant and engage them on some of these issues and to deal with some of these code issues. And I hope that's helpful on the issues and deals with it. And I think a little more candor by Passavant could have at least, maybe we wouldn't come to agreement, but we would certainly have a better understanding if they had been more candid. So.
Thank you, Bob. I don't want to get into, if you have a brief statement, this is more public comment, we responded. I don't want to debate, but if you have any other thing you would like to add, please come to the microphone and do so.
Jennifer Hopwood, 3350 Appel Road. I just want to ask, are they going to be permitted to move in prior to any zoning decision? Because it is our understanding that they have all intentions of moving people into that home in August. So I'm asking, are they going to be permitted to do that prior to any type of decision being made by whether it's the council here or the zoning board?
Yeah. There is nothing in the ordinance that would prevent them from moving in, provided they comply with the ordinance. And one of the issues that we intend to engage them about is, if they do move in, are they going to be in compliance with the ordinance when they do? There is nothing in the ordinance that would prevent them from moving forward if they stay in compliance with the existing ordinance. But we don't know what their intentions are, and one of the things that we're hoping to get more cooperation about is to find out what their plans are. And again, that's an issue of outreach, give the community a sense of what's occurring. And, you know, again, it's not a legal requirement, but it would certainly make things, even if we don't have ultimately agreement by everybody, that at least that there's a good understanding. And so that is something we are certainly going to ask them. They have not informed us what their plan is, to my knowledge. Have they, Ms. Prim?
Requested information, I've not received any.
So I'm going to go to the lawyer, and maybe we get a little more information from the lawyer, maybe not. But that's our intention, to engage them.
Sure. Yeah, you need to go to the microphone because we're taking this transcript. And
Karen Hatfield, 242 Lisa Drive. Okay, we were under the impression in the zoning hearing, it said in there that they wanted to change the definition. They wanted to change, not just that they were looking for like a fourth person, like another occupant. We were told that they wanted to change the definition of what the R2 zoning laws was, the definition of family.
It's my understanding that they don't have, the zoning hearing board doesn't have the purview to do that.
Right.
They're there to focus on whether they can have 4 people when the zoning requires 3.
Okay, well, that's kind of where a lot of the confusion was coming in, is
they don't have the
we were told
purview,
they were
in my
changing.
opinion. No. At
Okay,
this point,
and they told us they couldn't rule on that, so we were kind of puzzled as to why the zoning board couldn't just rule against their request.
they're going to do a finding of fact, I believe, and that's why they moved the hearing extended it till September, the first Monday in
So
September.
really, the issue is to go to 4-person occupancy.
That's our position, and as you know, the community took a position that the existing ordinance was adequate and there should not be an expansion of the definition.
Okay.
And that's going to be our position, that it is the only issue before them is the 3 versus the 4, and that's my reading of the petition that was filed. Of course, when they got in front of the zoning board, they raised the whole issue of the definition. You know, that you certainly received that impression perfectly understandably from what their lawyer said. But as far as we're concerned, the only issue is going from 3 to 4. Is that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, if we can move on, if you briefly, please, come up, state your name and address.
Thank you. Lisa Carper, 3315 Appel Road. What is not clearly I don't know why people don't understand this. When Passavant is saying 3 people living together as a single family per state and federal laws, regulations, that's 3 of their patients. Plus Passavant answered 1 person will be there 2.5 days, and then per the hiring application that is all over Bethel Park for direct care, who comes in 3 different shifts, makes 5. Not 3, 5. They need 1 patient in there, plus their caregiver, plus the direct care is 3. Then they can live together as their single family, but not as they're stating, saying 3 patients plus the caregiver, plus the direct caregiver, is 5 people. How does that fall under the state regulations, federal regulations? I would like to know that because it does not make sense in my
Their
calculations.
position is the staff does not count as a resident. I know you don't agree, but their position is the staff members do not make their permanent home there. That's not where their driver's license is. That's not where their permanent residence is. They are there as part of their assistance to the
But according to the
permanent residents.
Allegheny County Health Department, that person that stays there for 2.5 days is considered a 4th person.
Okay.
That's, and then he needs, they need an occupancy permit, which they have not applied for in Bethel Park.
The House has, and thank you for coming to the microphone, they do have an occupancy permit. I know that's been a subject ongoing. There is an occupancy permit. Every time a house changes hands, we don't issue a new occupancy permit. So thank you very much. If we can now turn, is there any other residents who would like to speak? Hearing none, can we turn to General Policy and Finance and Dr. Campbell?
Mr. Mowry, I have 2 items under General Policy and Finance today. The first is Debt Ordinance Amendment. I move that we approve Ordinance Number 7-11-22A as drafted by the Bond Council, amending the ordinance dated August 23rd, 2021 to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10,675,000 in accordance to the provisions of the Local Government Unit Debt Act for the purpose of refinancing the municipality's general obligation bonds, series of 2017, and amending certain other provisions of the original ordinance.
Second.
There's a motion by Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. Oakes, that we approve ordinance number 7-11-22A as drafted by Bond Council, amending the ordinance dated August 23rd, 2021 to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10,675,000 in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Unit Debt Act for the purposes of refinancing the municipality's general obligation bonds, Series 2017, and amending certain other provisions of the original ordinance. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Mowry.
Dr. Campbell.
A lot of public works projects need to have some significant funding up front, right from the very go. You can imagine things like road repaving projects. When we do a lot of work at the sewage treatment plant, projects that we have upgrades there. If we do major purchases in police vehicles, public works vehicles, for instance, even a lot of our flood control projects, they need funding ahead of time. And municipal bonds are often issued by towns and cities as a way of raising revenue that's earmarked for these public projects. Because these ventures are deemed for the greater good of the public, the interest from municipal bonds is often free of federal, state, or local taxes. Typically, the yields for bonds are kind of low. We're talking about 2 to 4%, depending on the year, the month that they're offered, as well as the economic climate, the market climate at the time. But most investors are willing to forego big returns if they don't have to pay taxes on their capital gains. So this ordinance allows Bethel Park to go ahead and proceed with that, and for us to go ahead and offer that with our municipal bonds, as well as do what we can to maintain them being quite competitive. I've been on council now for several years, certainly not as long as Mr. Mowry and Mr. O'Brien, but I've been here long enough to see that we do a lot of shuffling, refinancing of a lot of our bonds in order to do what we can to get a better rate, in order to do what we can to go ahead and reduce the cost for the municipality as much as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes. Yes. Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Dr. Campbell.
Second item, Mr. Mowry, is Willamette Drive vacant land purchase ordinance. I move that we approve ordinance number 7-11-22B for the purchase of parcel 5, 67, and 100 located on Willamette Drive at a sheriff's sale via the minimum bid possible bid, not in excess of $10,000.
Second. There's a motion by Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. Oakes, that we approve ordinance number 7-11-22B for the purchase of parcel 567-N-100 located on Willamette Drive at Sheriff's Sale via the minimum possible bid not to exceed $10,000. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Myrie.
Dr. Campbell.
This property is off of Willamette. There's a small road that goes through there currently in McNary Place. It takes up the vast majority of this small parcel. It straddles very narrow strips on both sides, and it's really very, very tiny.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Dr. Campbell.
I have no other items, Mr. Myrie.
Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to health, safety, and welfare, and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. APCO Counseling Service Assessment for the Bethel Park Police Department Communications Center. I move that we approve the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials International, APCO, contract for APCO Consulting Services to conduct an assessment of our Police Department Communications Center for the amount of $36,636 to be paid from unassigned reserved funds.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Espenar, that we approve the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials International, APCO, contract from APCO Consulting Services to conduct an assessment of our Police Department Communications Center for the amount of $36,636 to be paid for from unassigned general fund reserves. Any discussion of this?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
Some time ago, Bethel Park, we had to make a decision whether we would keep our dispatch center or go to County 911. We made that decision to keep it here. Now, this is an ongoing thing to look at it, to see how we can improve it, what's better equipment, so we can serve the people. So that's what this is, to get the best possible direction and the best possible equipment to make sure the community is safe and keeping the system in-house. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
O'Brien. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. O'Brien.
There are no other items under health, safety, and welfare.
Are there any additional items?
I have one,
Mr. O'Brien.
If you are out by the Veterans Memorial, the Veterans Plaza, as the mayor likes to call it, is undergoing a redo, a refresh. Brand new concrete, some tables, some chairs. It's going to be, this comes from some ideas from our manager and our head of public works and council. I think it's going to be a wonderful addition for people to go and reflect and sit and have lunch. It's just another addition to the Veterans Memorial that is very much welcome. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. At this time, can we turn to planning and zoning and Mr. Janicic?
Thank you, President Mowry. 3 items tonight. Item A, the Enclave at Cool Springs, application 2021-0156, bond release number 1. I move that we approve the Enclave at Cool Springs bond release number 1 in the amount of $234,718 per the municipal planner's memorandum dated July 7th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janicic, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve the Enclave at Cool Springs bond release number 1 in the amount of $234,718 per the municipal planner's memorandum dated July 7th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes. Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Janusik.
Item B, the sidewalk policy. I move that we adopt the sidewalk policy per the municipal planner's memorandum dated June 20th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janusik, second by Ms. Flynn, that we adopt the sidewalk policy per the municipal planner's memorandum dated June 20th, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. President?
Mr. Janusik.
I just want to say this policy gives the residents of Bethel Park a process by which to get their sidewalks updated. We're also doing a full review of the sidewalks that we own and how we can best maximize them and get them fixed up the way that they're supposed to be.
Thank you, Mr. Janusik. I appreciate our municipal planner, our planning commission. This is the first step in many steps, no pun intended, process of upgrading and expanding our walking sidewalk policy and practice. Really, it's something that came out of Blueprint Bethel Park, and this is going to be the starting point, as Mr. Janusik said, for A, for fixing the sidewalks we have, and B, for if you want a sidewalk in your neighborhood, we'll now have a policy, a process in place that you can petition the municipality. So thanks to everybody. Well, not everybody. We'll take the vote. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janusik.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Now thank everybody. Mr. Janusik.
Last item on the agenda, Bethel Pines bond reduction, application 2019-0347. I move that we approve the bond reduction in the amount of $26,345 per the municipal planner's memorandum dated June 23rd, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janusik, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve the bond reduction in the amount of $26,345 per the municipal planner's memorandum dated June 23rd, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janusik.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Janusik.
No more items, Mr. President, but I did want to just say one more thing regarding Frank Mingrone. I met him in 2018, helping him clean out his home from a flood that all of us experienced. And didn't really, I got to know him a little bit. There was a family connection with my brother-in-law. Then I got elected, I got sworn in, and in the 6 months or so that I've been on the chair for the Planning and Zoning Commission, or committee, he's been just so great to listen to and hear the stories and all the knowledge that he has. And he's going to be missed so badly. And I wanted to personally thank him for his mentorship and that all that stuff that goes along with that. It's been great knowing him, and I hope we get to hear from him again sometime. So that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Janusik. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Consolmagno?
Thank you, President Murray. I have one item and one item only. 2022 4x4 pickup truck sewer plant. I move that we approve the purchase of one 2022 Ford F-350 XL 4x4 from C. Harper Commercial Truck at the cost of $41,715 per the Public Works Director's memorandum dated June 7th, 2022.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno, second by Mr. O'Brien, that we approve the purchase of one 2022 Ford F-350 XL 4x4 from C. Harper Commercial Truck at a cost of $41,715 per the Public Works Director's memorandum dated June 7, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janusik.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
President Murray, I would just like to comment and thank you for your dedication of, how many years? 25?
I started when I was 12, but go ahead.
I think under your leadership and guidance, Bethel Park has moved forward in a tremendous way. And with your sidekick vice president there,
The senior member of council is what we refer to him.
Mark has done an outstanding job for his residents over there, and I want to thank you both that, we wouldn't be where we are today in Bethel Park if it wasn't for the two of you. Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thank you very much. On that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. Genesek. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.